If I asked you to picture George Washington, what you're probably going to picture is an incomplete portrait. And I mean that literally, because the most common image of George Washington is by far this portrait of him, which is a reproduction of this painting. This is the Athenaeum portrait, which is sometimes referred to as just the Athenaeum. It's a life painting of George Washington, which he sat and posed for, that was never finished. So you can see this light part of the canvas is untouched by paint. This painting was so popular when Gilbert Stuart was alive that he requested from the president to actually keep it in his studio so he could make copies of it. And he made about 75 replicas throughout his life. The portrait was commissioned by First Lady Martha Washington. And there is a corresponding Athenaeum portrait of Martha Washington, also unfinished. And this is a portrait of Martha Washington by Eliphalet Fraser Andrews. It was done 76 years after Martha Washington's death and was based on the work of Gilbert Stuart. If you ever had a really good English teacher or a really good history teacher, they probably encourage some form of questioning storytelling. And the best questioning is, who is telling the story, who benefits from the story, and who is left out of the story. I also think this is really relevant in an art context because we don't have paintings of every human from throughout history. We only get certain types of people represented and represented again and again. For example, I don't know of any contemporary representations of Ona Judge from her lifetime, but we do have other documentation that she existed. Ona Judge was a person who was owned by Martha Washington. And this is an ad that was put in the papers after Ona Judge escaped trying to track her down. Ona Judge was born in Mount Vernon, which is the plantation owned by the Washingtons. This is Daniel Parke Custis, painted by John Wollaston. He was Martha Washington's first husband, and he owned about 235 people, of which Ona Judge was one. While a slave to Martha Washington, Ona Judge primarily worked as her handmaid, doing things like helping take care of Martha, bathing her, getting her dressed. With the help of Philadelphia's free black community, Ona Judge was able to free herself in 1796 and lived as a fugitive slave for the rest of her life in New Hampshire. She said she freed herself for two reasons. One, because she wanted to be free, of course. And two, because she had overheard that she was about to be gifted to Martha Washington's oldest granddaughter. This is Eliza Parke Custis Law, who was Martha's oldest granddaughter and was notoriously cruel, also painted by Gilbert Stuart. Washington spent the rest of his life trying to track down Ona Judge, which brings to mind the phrase, "die mad about it," which he did in 1799.